Greatness does not always come from conformity. Sometimes it comes from resistance, from refusing to think like everyone else, from questioning what is accepted. Kyrie Irving entered the basketball world with uncommon skill, but what truly separated him was not his handle, his touch, or his creativity. It was his mind, a mind that never moved in straight lines, a mind that refused to be programmed by expectation, a mind that demanded freedom above comfort. From an early age, Kyrie learned that talent alone was never enough. He saw that the game rewarded repetition, but it punished hesitation, and hesitation is born in the mind. So while others practiced to be good, Kyrie practiced to be free. Free from fear, free from doubt, free from limitation. He did not want to play basketball the way it had always been played. He wanted to express it. Expression requires courage, and courage is a mental decision. Kyrie's journey was never smooth. Injuries disrupted momentum. Expectations followed him everywhere. Opinions formed quickly and changed just as fast. And this is where most people fracture mentally. When the world's expectations collide with personal truth, when external narratives attempt to override internal identity, Kyrie did not allow that override. He understood something most never grasp. The mind cannot create freely if it is afraid of judgment. Creativity dies under fear. Flow disappears under pressure. So Kyrie chose mastery of the inner world before mastery of the outer one. Mental discipline for Kyrie was not about control. It was about clarity. Clarity of self, clarity of purpose, clarity of belief. He knew that if his mind was clear, his game would follow. The body is obedient when the mind is unburdened. This is why his game looks like art. Art is not rushed. Art is not forced. Art moves instinctively, and instinct is subconscious belief in motion. The subconscious does not hesitate. It acts on what it knows to be true. Kyrie spent years teaching his subconscious that creativity was not danger, that risk was not fear, that freedom was not recklessness. And once the subconscious accepted those truths, his game became fluid. But freedom is misunderstood. Many confuse it with chaos. Kyrie understood it as discipline without restriction. Discipline of repetition, discipline of thought, discipline of self-trust. He rehearsed possibilities so often that improvisation became natural. This is the paradox of mastery. Structure creates freedom. As Kyrie rose, scrutiny intensified. Every move was questioned, every decision analyzed, every difference magnified. And the temptation to conform became louder. Most people give in here. They trade authenticity for acceptance. They shrink their identity to fit expectation. Kyrie refused. He understood that losing yourself mentally is far more dangerous than losing approval. Approval fades. Identity endures. Mental toughness for Kyrie was never about silence. It was about independence. Independence of thought. Independence of belief. Independence of execution. He did not need consensus to trust himself. He needed alignment. Alignment between who he was and how he played. This is why pressure never stole his creativity. Pressure only threatens those who fear being seen. Kyrie had already accepted himself. When self-acceptance is complete, fear has nowhere to live. In the biggest moments when stakes were highest, Kyrie did not retreat into safety. He expanded into expression. This is not arrogance. This is trust. Trust in preparation. Trust in instinct. Trust in the mind he had trained. The mind that is disciplined does not ask for permission. It responds. Kyrie's confidence was not loud. It was internal. It was built on thousands of repetitions performed with presence. Not rushing, not forcing, simply aligning thought and action. When alignment exists, the game slows down. This is why he could operate in chaos, because chaos never entered his inner world. He had already accepted uncertainty as normal. And when uncertainty is normal, fear disappears. Criticism followed him everywhere. Labels were applied quickly, unconventional, difficult, different, but Kyrie never allowed labels to become limits. He understood that labels are tools used by those who need simplicity. The disciplined mind does not need labels. It needs truth. Truth is internal. Kyrie's truth was simple. He needed to play freely to play fully. He needed authenticity to maintain confidence, and confidence is the gateway to performance. When confidence is borrowed from approval, it disappears under pressure. When confidence is rooted in identity, it endures. This is why Kyrie could step into any moment and remain calm. Calm is not the absence of emotion. It is mastery over it. Emotional mastery is mental discipline practiced daily. Kyrie practiced awareness. Awareness of thought, awareness of feeling, awareness of distraction. When a thought did not serve execution, it was dismissed. Not debated, not entertained, replaced. Replacement is power. The subconscious absorbs what is repeated. Kyrie repeated trust. He repeated belief. He repeated freedom. And over time, those repetitions sank below consciousness and became instinct. This is why hesitation never crept into his game. Hesitation is the mind seeking approval. Kyrie's mind sought expression. Expression is the highest form of confidence. But expression requires responsibility. Responsibility for outcomes. Responsibility for mistakes. Responsibility for self. Kyrie accepted responsibility fully. He did not outsource it to teammates, systems, or circumstances. He owned his experience. Ownership strengthens the mind. The mind that owns outcomes does not panic. It adjusts. It learns. It evolves. Kyrie evolved mentally through every season. Injuries tested patience. Transitions tested adaptability. Criticism tested resolve. And each time the mind either breaks or deepens. Kyrie deepened. He refused to allow adversity to harden him. He allowed it to refine him. Refinement requires humility. The humility to learn. The humility to change. The humility to trust growth. Mental discipline is not rigidity. It is flexibility anchored in belief. Kyrie's belief was never fragile. It was fluid. He trusted himself enough to evolve. And evolution is impossible when fear controls thought. This is why his game remains timeless. Because it is not dependent on trend. It is dependent on feel. Feel is subconscious intelligence expressed physically. The subconscious becomes intelligent through repetition, through experience, through intentional thought. Kyrie cultivated this intelligence deliberately. He did not silence doubt. He outgrew it. Outgrowing doubt is a decision to stop asking for permission, a decision to stop explaining, a decision to trust the work. Kyrie trusted the work. And when the work is trusted, execution becomes fearless, not reckless, fearless. Fearlessness is not absence of awareness. It is presence of certainty. Certainty is built when thought, routine, and identity align. This is the mental edge. Now understand this. Kyrie's story is not about basketball alone. It is about sovereignty of the mind, the refusal to be owned by expectation, the courage to think independently, the discipline to remain aligned. You do not need to be understood to be effective. You need to be grounded. You do not need agreement to believe. You need discipline. Discipline of thought. Discipline of self-trust. Discipline of identity. When discipline becomes subconscious, expression becomes automatic. Performance becomes free, and the world adjusts. Let the noise fade now. Let the mind settle, because this final part is not about Kyrie. It is about you. Say this internally, slowly, with intention. I trust my instincts. I protect my identity. I choose clarity over conformity. I do not hesitate. I do not seek permission. I express who I am fully. My mind is calm. My belief is stable. My execution is free. I'm not defined by opinion. I'm anchored in truth. I move with confidence. Creativity flows through discipline. Freedom comes from preparation. Confidence comes from alignment. My mindset is my edge. My authenticity is my power. And I perform without fear. True mastery is not about being understood. It is about being aligned. Kyrie Irving understood early that misunderstanding is often the price of independence. When you refuse to think like everyone else, you will be questioned. When you refuse to move in straight lines, you will be labeled. And when you refuse to surrender your inner compass, the world will attempt to pull you back toward comfort. Kyrie did not resist this pressure emotionally. He transcended it mentally. Most people are controlled not by circumstance, but by the fear of standing alone. Kyrie learned how to stand alone without feeling isolated. Solitude did not weaken him. It clarified him. Silence did not scare him. It sharpened him. He discovered that the loudest voice in your life must be your own, or it will never truly be yours. The disciplined mind does not borrow belief. It generates it. Kyrie became deeply aware of his internal dialogue. He observed his thoughts rather than obeying them automatically. When doubt appeared, he did not panic. He studied it. When fear surfaced, he did not suppress it. He understood it. Awareness is the first layer of control. Once you see the thought, you are no longer owned by it. This is mental sovereignty. Sovereignty of the mind means you choose what influences you. You choose what narratives enter. You choose what energy stays. Kyrie became selective. Not defensive, selective. Defense reacts. Selection decides. He decided that creativity would never be sacrificed for approval, because approval is unstable. It rises and falls with performance. Creativity, when protected, compounds, and compounding is how greatness becomes inevitable. The subconscious mind does not respond to external debate. It responds to internal agreement. Kyrie made internal agreements early. Agreements about who he was, how he played, what he stood for. And once those agreements were made, the subconscious worked relentlessly to support them. Support shows up as instinct, as flow, as confidence without force. This is why Kyrie's game looks spontaneous, but never reckless. Spontaneity without preparation is chaos. Spontaneity built on repetition is mastery. He repeated fundamentals until they disappeared beneath thought. When thought disappears, freedom appears. Freedom is not random. It is earned. Every late-night workout, every quiet repetition, every moment of visualization reinforced an internal message: I trust myself. And the subconscious believed it because it was shown repeatedly, not declared emotionally. This is where most people fail. They speak belief but live doubt. Kyrie lived belief. He aligned action with identity. And alignment eliminates friction. Friction is what drains confidence. When your actions contradict your beliefs, anxiety forms. Kyrie minimized friction by staying authentic. Authenticity is not stubbornness, it is congruence. Congruence between thought, feeling, and action. When congruence exists, performance becomes fluid. You stop forcing outcomes. You allow them. This is why Kyrie thrived in high-pressure moments. Pressure only overwhelms minds that are conflicted. A clear mind experiences pressure as focus, as narrowing, as sharpening. Kyrie narrowed his focus deliberately. He did not try to satisfy everyone. He tried to satisfy alignment. Alignment with his values. Alignment with his preparation. Alignment with his truth. Truth does not need defense. The world will always attempt to simplify complex minds. It will reduce depth to labels. It will confuse independence with defiance. Kyrie refused to shrink himself to fit simple explanations. He expanded his awareness instead. Expansion of awareness creates resilience. Resilience is not toughness alone. It is adaptability without loss of self. Kyrie adapted without surrender. He adjusted without erasing identity. He evolved without abandoning core belief. This is the rarest form of mental strength. Mental strength is not about control over others. It is control over reaction, control over attention, control over interpretation. Interpretation determines experience. Two people can face the same criticism. One collapses, one sharpens. The difference is interpretation. Kyrie interpreted challenge as confirmation of individuality, not rejection of worth. Worth was never in question internally. This is why negativity never anchored itself in him. It passed through, like weather, observed, acknowledged, released. Release is power. Holding on to resentment drains energy. Kyrie chose conservation. He conserved mental energy for creation, not conflict. Creation requires space, mental space, emotional space, identity space. He protected that space fiercely. Protection does not mean isolation. It means boundaries. And boundaries are a form of discipline. Discipline of what you allow. Discipline of what you entertain. Discipline of what you internalize. Over time, discipline shapes destiny. Kyrie's destiny was never about fitting into a system. It was about expressing mastery within any system. And mastery is portable. It travels, it adapts, it survives. This is why his confidence never depended on setting or circumstance. It lived within him. The mind that lives internally is never homeless. Now understand this clearly. Kyrie's story is not about rebellion. It is about responsibility. Responsibility for thought. Responsibility for belief. Responsibility for identity. Most people avoid responsibility by blending in. Kyrie accepted responsibility by standing out. And standing out requires courage. Courage is not loud. It is steady. Steadiness is the signature of a disciplined mind. And this is where everything comes together. You do not need to be understood to be effective. You do not need approval to be confident. You do not need consensus to move forward. You need clarity. Clarity of thought. Clarity of purpose. Clarity of self. When clarity is present, fear dissolves. When fear dissolves, performance flows. When performance flows, results follow naturally. This is the mental edge. Now let everything slow. Let the breath settle. Let the noise dissolve. Because this final message is not about Kyrie Irving. It is about you. Say this internally, calmly, with certainty. I trust my inner voice. I protect my identity. I move with clarity. I do not seek permission. I do not fear misunderstanding. I remain aligned. My mind is calm. My belief is steady. My execution is free. I allow creativity to flow. I allow confidence to deepen. I allow mastery to emerge. I am disciplined in thought. I am grounded in truth. I am free in expression. My mindset is my edge. My authenticity is my strength. And I perform from alignment, not fear.